Okay, we're here, Dennis Young, and a very special guest, Nad Sylvan, fantastic singer, currently in Steve Hackett Band, and also great solo records, which I've been listening to. Ned, thank you for coming on.
You're most welcome.
So maybe we could start off like, how do you got interested in music, and what were some of your early influences?
That started when I was very, very little. I must have been a toddler, basically.
Okay.
I remember I was in my cradle. You call them cradles? You know, the one
Yeah,
with
yep. Cribs.
cribs.
Yes.
Thank you. Mind you, I'm Swedish, right? I'm sort of American Swedish, but I never lived in America, so my English is sort of more leaning
Yeah,
towards.
yeah. You have that Swedish accent and
I not
English.
not well, yeah, a mix of that. Anyway, so I was in this crib, and I can still remember being around maybe two, and hearing some music and just dancing along with it. A couple of years later, I sold myself to a family piano. It was a square piano
Oh,
we
okay.
had, and I just started to picking out melodies I've heard on the radio. And that very young, I must have been 4 or 5 or something.
Hmm.
And I started to come up with my own bits as I
Oh,
went along. So
did you listen to the Beatles at all and the
yeah,
Stones? And yeah,
yeah.
I remember the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. I think that was a moment. I was real young, but still.
I was born in '59, so that ought to be in '64, I think, in Ed Sullivan. So I was about 5 years old, 4 or 5.
Right.
Depends on if it was before my fifth birthday or after. Huh.
Wow. So when was your first band? It looked like what, the Chris Stewart band in the 80s? Is that how you started?
No, it
Before
was
that?
uh, it was earlier than that.
Okay.
The first band proper, I would say, was in the '70s.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I had my schoolmates when we were 8 years old having our own band. Went to the municipal library trying to break in there and do a show.
Wow.
That, no, we were called the Hooks, and I was the lead singer back then too. But in the '70s, I was in a band called Envoys in 1975. We were just a covers band. We just traveled
Oh, okay.
during weekends around Sweden and doing shows. And then the year after, I left them, and then I actually joined a couple of guys in my age, and we started this prog rock band, and very much wrote music in the same vein as Genesis, so Yes, and Gentle Giant and stuff like that. But
Oh,
of course, I wasn't a very skilled keyboardist. I was so young. I was 17.
oh, wow.
But still, I had songs in my head, and that's how it started, really. Chris Stewart band was in the '80s, and that lasted what, 2 years or something.
Okay.
And then I joined One by One, which was more of I'd say a pop rock frenzy with a lot of funk in it, and I still
Hmm.
kept that funk. I still kept it. It's
Yeah.
in my DNA now these days.
Yeah. Now, what was the music scene like in Sweden in the 80s? What were some of the, was it like here in the States where, I would, in New York area, and it was, we had the new no wave era, and then we had all types of, what was that like?
Sweden always very trendy,
Hmm.
which I felt I was sort of outside that loop. I never, I was never a trendy guy. Because I always believe that trends are set once by someone else than yourself, and I'd
I
rather set my
agree.
own. I tend to set my own trends. I don't need to be glancing over what other people are doing, because they're already doing it. So better do
Yeah.
something they're not doing. You know what I mean? So to come up with more original ideas, I just stayed out of the loop completely in the '80s. But when I joined One by One, it was a collective of people in my age, around 25, 23, 24. Of course, you get influenced by each other. Like, I'm listening, what are you doing and stuff. So I didn't go solo until later in the '80s,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and was stayed solo until I formed Uniform with Bonamici, and we did that Uniform album.
Hmm.
And that's when I've went on full prog ever since. Well, what is it, 22, 23 years now.
Wow. And how did you get together, Ronnie, with Agents of Mercy? I mean, there's some great music there. How did that
Roine,
come up? Rory, I mean.
Roine.
Reiner, I mean.
I know it's a difficult Swedish name.
It is. I spoke to him.
If
Yeah.
an Englishman or American would pronounce it Roine,
Yes.
considering how it's spelled. So
Okay.
let's go with Roine. That's
Right.
fine.
Okay.
Uh, so make it
That's
easy
funny.
for you guys. So, no, but we have come up with a Uniform album in 2008. It didn't take long until Roine heard it and he wrote to me, and I got an email from him, and he said something so very nice. Please be quiet, Scroot. Um, Oh, she's just jealous. Uh, and so he wanted me to sing on his solo album.
Okay. Wow. That's great. I mean, he's quite a talent. I mean, I was able to interview him and well, so much music he's doing. Hey, we have a cat too. Part of the show. Oh, that's a little fella. We
That's a
have a
little
big
girl.
we have a
A
big
little.
cat. We have a big hunter cat.
This is this
Oh,
is this is Scrooge. She is almost 15 years old,
oh, wow.
and she is the queen of the hill.
I'm sure they are. They all are. They all are Queen of the Hills.
She's just the sweetest little girl ever. Just complete darling. I mean, so kind, so loving, so she's just a lot of fun.
Great. There you
Yeah.
go. First animal part of the shows. So,
Yeah.
so this the life of housewife. Can you talk a little bit about that? I
Yeah.
know we're going off a little bit, but
That doesn't matter.
okay. How
Okay.
about
I'd
that
say
record?
I think Life of a Housewife was something I that was conceived in a very short space of time, written and recorded between I think January and April of '97.
Okay.
What intrigued it was one of my sort of friends in the sort of the gay community. He was
Right.
a he was a fierce drag queen, and he called himself husmor in Swedish, and that means housewife.
Huh.
Now he was very depressed and he committed suicide.
Oh,
He jumped before the tube, but and he was only 36.
oh boy.
So I sort of that's it's a horrible thing to I mean that thing intrigued me to come up with a concept album to honor him.
Mm.
But
Well,
I just felt he was such a character in this
mm.
whole community. And so I just came up with a lot of songs, and it was done and released in '97, but released online.
So we can
Just
get
like
that. People, we can find that
uh,
record.
it's on Spotify. You can stream it.
Okay. I want to hear that.
Yes, well, it's very primitively recorded on my Fostix R8 and my Atari computer, and I didn't have much. I didn't have. Well, I had a couple of synthesizers, but it's a good album. It is. I mean, some of my friends say it's my best album because it's
Mm.
so raw and naked. I don't know.
So your sorrow is coming out on that record. So sometimes when you're in a sorrow mood or that kind of the atmosphere can create some great music on.
Well, I wasn't that sad, really. I
No?
mean,
Okay.
we were not really close, me and Thomas. We were just, in fact, I think when he passed away, we were kind of not friendly with each other at all. But because
Okay.
he is a drama queen, total drama queen. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
And so, but it was just it sparked the idea of doing something like that. So, and there was a lot to draw from. Um, Look at this girl.
Oh, look at that. Part of this program here. Does she have any questions today? I guess she doesn't. Just wants to be loved. That's it. That's all she wants, right?
every day, all day long.
Right?
Mm.
That's great. Oh. So
That's
before we
great.
go on to your solo music, I'd love to talk about Steve Hackett. I saw you guys last year in Red Bank. A
Oh,
fantastic show.
that was a good show.
Everybody was great. You were great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's such a band. It's you guys are so good. What's it like working with Steve?
Very hard question to answer. Number one, everything has been very well taken care of. You know, the production, the management, the
Mm,
travels, the hotels, everything is, I mean, you know, it's like they are so keen on getting everything right. And so everything's been set up for us to just tag along, but
mm.
do what expected of you. You know, don't mess up.
Well,
That
nobody
is not
messes up. Nobody
no
messes up in that
no
band.
no
Nobody. I
no.
don't
I
hear a
mean,
wrong note.
someone like no, don't mess up in that way. Don't mess up behind the scenes.
Okay.
Don't mess
Oh,
up.
okay. Got it.
Don't be late for, you know, because we go in places
Right.
and nobody is. I mean, it's really really tight. But we're all kind of getting old now. I mean, the youngest guy in the band now is that's Felix in his early 40s.
Mm.
I'll be 67 soon, and you know, and I'm sort of, I think I'm the oldest in the band apart from Steve now. Yeah, I am.
Steve is remarkable. I mean, his playing is just, oh, he keeps getting better. I mean, there's the show is incredible. How much he plays, and you're singing too.
Well, thank you. You know, you collect a lot of stamina over the years from singing so much. I mean, I have an abdomen that's abnormal. It looks like I'm fat, but it's just muscles. It's
Oh,
like a huge, huge package of muscles.
you know, I was going to ask you about that. How do you keep your voice? I mean, you had a 29 dates. How do you not talk after shows? You quiet?
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
you just,
But yeah, I don't really sing that much. It's not. I mean, not every song is
I noticed
about
that.
vocal. You know, there's a lot of gaps in between vocal deliveries, and so no. What I'm cautious with is alcohol, and I, even though I have a few drinks, but I don't get drunk. You know, I very rarely
Yeah,
get drunk. Very rarely. It can happen, but maybe once or twice during the whole tour, I get a little sort of knocked off my feet. But and also water. Very,
oh, okay.
very important to hydrate yourself before show. Make sure that you drink at least, I don't know. See, we measure in liters. I don't know how many liters that goes
Okay.
into a gallon. I think it might
Like,
be 3 liters into a gallon.
okay.
But I drink a lot of water, let's put it like that. And I start early in the day.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah. And then sleep is mandatory. I mean,
Yeah.
that's that's paramount. Sleep is super
I think
important.
bands get in trouble when they first couple gigs are already partying, they're already drunk. Next day they're hungover. They got a big tour to go. But it probably happens a lot.
I think it happens to younger bands.
Right.
You know, we've been around the block for quite some time now. I mean, this is I've done since 13, 20, 13 years of touring with Steve Hackett.
That is something.
That's a long time.
It is.
And many shows and many flights and you know,
Yeah.
if you think about it, I tend not to think about it too much because I tend to look forward all the time. You know, next song, what next
Yeah.
day be like, you know, not reminiscing too much.
What
Um,
about the Royal Albert Hall? That must have been something the first time you played there. I mean, that's such an iconic place.
that
How
was
was that?
very, to me personally,
Yes.
oh, never done anything like it before. And just the fact that my father flew over from Los Angeles where he resided, and he's no longer with us now, but back then he was
Mm.
85.
Wow.
That'll be 13 years ago this autumn. So yeah, God, my brother also lives in California. And then my whole Swedish family and my friends and schoolmates, you know, you think about it, they all live
Yeah.
in Sweden. They flew over for the show.
Ah,
And
that's
so they were
great.
very, I was very happy, and I was probably, they were quite proud of me, you know, my friends and family. But I just wish that I had the experience that I have now.
Mm.
When during that first year, you know, you can't fake routine. It's something you build up over the years, you know, and you get
Yes.
better and better and better and more experienced, and know more about what not to do and maybe what
Yeah.
to improve on, you know. But it was fantastic. And then we've done it again, and about a year ago we did it.
Oh, wow.
hang on, year, a little roughly, October 24th.
Okay.
And we're going to do it again this coming October, Albert Hall again. So be
Oh, that's fantastic.
the third time for me, third time for the whole band.
Wow. And it's the same band going to be on tour this year as we have a different drummer, maybe?
Oh, you haven't heard?
No. I know
Oh,
Roger King left, but I don't know who took his place.
oh, Lale Larson from Agents of Mercy.
Oh, okay.
Lale was also in Car Mechanic with Jonas. Um, and so Lale's got the gig.
Okay.
We had Craig Blundell on drums for 6 years. Now we have Felix Lerman, formerly of Flower Kings.
Oh, he's
Ola,
good.
Lale Larson also plays in Flower Kings.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like three Swedes, one German, and one Brit in the band, apart from Steve.
Okay.
So the
Oh,
only one that's there from the beginning really is Rob. Rob. He
oh
was
yeah.
there when I joined,
Okay.
but the rest has been
Yeah, I guess you get
that's
different players. What do people change and it's the part of it.
it's the longevity of the band. I mean, Steve's career, solo career, has been going on for many years now.
It has. I know. I've been a fan for years.
I think his first tour, if I'm correct, was in supporting the Please Don't Touch album. It came out in '78.
Right.
I think that's where he started touring with his own stuff. And that's 48 years ago now.
That's amazing. That
So
is.
he's been around quite some time.
So let's talk about your solo career because I listen to
Sure.
your music. It's fantastic. I mean, you have
Mm.
so many records here. Um, what do you want to talk about before we go to your new record? Any that
Mhm.
stand out, like that people should first listen to be familiar with your music that don't know it?
Well, in a way, the figures I have on some streaming platforms like Spotify, they will rate, the most popular song that you've released, and then going to go,
Right.
downwards like that. And the first one is a track called "What Have You Done?" It's from my second album on Inside Out, from the Bride Said No album.
Okay.
So to me, I tend to think that's one of my strongest albums. At least, it's very,
Mm,
as always, kind of scattered. I move somewhere in between heavy hard rock, symphonic hard rock, and even a lean towards neo soul sometimes. Because I have so much soul and R&B in my veins
mm.
that it needs to come out once in a while. So there's some scattered references as always when it comes to me. I can't just do one thing. It's impossible. I've been around too long. I got
Yeah.
too many influences. But anyway, The Bride Said No it's a very strong album.
Mm.
But I also feel, because I did the trilogy of albums.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I did the Courting the Widow. This came out 10 years ago, roughly in 15. Then the Bride Said No, and then the Regal Bastard album, uh, which my record label said, I don't think you can call the album that. That's sort of in a bad language. No, 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 not if you look at the origins of that word. It actually means the illegitimate son,
Mm.
and so it was okay to do that. So those three form a trilogy of albums. They're kind of progressive rock, moving more towards pop music, but still very progressive. Um, then I thought, what am I going to do after that
Mm.
one? So I contacted Andrew Latris, who actually contributed with a song for the Regal Bastard as a bonus track. He'd written the music, the lyrics were of William Butler Yeats, the Irish poet, who lived,
Oh,
and
of course.
you know him.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, he was born in 1865 and died in 1939, I believe. He's got the Nobel Prize and everything. So I recorded a song for him. It's called "The Lake Isle of Innisfree," and
Mm.
then that actually ended up. It was for his solo album, but then I thought, oh, I loved it so much. Can we put it on my solo album as a bonus track? And that out of that came Spiritus Mundi,
Oh,
the next album. I thought, why not continue working with Andrew and do something completely different from the to really, point out that this is a new chapter
right.
after the trilogy. So we did very scaled down acoustic albums with a lot of more, brass and woodwinds and strings and more organic sounding
Mm.
album, very much based around his guitar playing and my voice and
Oh,
my lower baritone. And it's a beautiful album. It's probably my favorite album
okay.
that I've been included in, It's just something in that album that makes me want to play it again.
Mm.
I'm not really disregarding anything I do, but it's something that it just gives me a little bit more than the others.
I think as an artist, you find one record that always stands out in your career. Like at that point in time, maybe maybe that's was one of them that at that moment you felt it.
Yeah. Well, I'm still very proud of that album, and it came out 5 years ago.
Oh, okay. I'll
But
look into
then,
that.
yeah, but Spiritus Mundi is something that will make you feel at ease. It's a very, very well written album. Basically, Andrew Later's songs, music that I elaborated on, changed bits,
Mm.
extended bits, threw in bits that weren't there from the beginning. So we sort of get both song credits, but it's his ideas.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that's how I just wanted to work in a different kind of way, do
Yeah,
something. It's like a new chapter in life.
yeah. Yeah.
So after Spiritus Mundi, I hadn't been writing in quite some time. So I had started writing again on my own to come up with an album with only my own songs.
Mm.
And I hadn't done that in 10 years because my other albums, always someone else been, working, Anders Warbeck has been co-writing with me a couple of songs here and there. This time I had so many ideas. I thought, nope, this will be a solely Nad Sylvan album with my own songs.
Uh,
And that became Monumentata.
and you have a big cast of great players on it. I mean, Jonas, Tony Levin,
Yeah.
Marco. How did you were able to get all these players? It was all done over the internet, sending you the songs, or how did a lot of that happen?
Well, it's file sharing, really.
Right.
We haven't been collectively in a room recorded together. I would love to do that, but
Yeah.
we're talking about a totally different budget.
Hmm.
And I'm not no way, a famous rich rock star. I'm just like a guy next door trying to make a living. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's all you can do. I mean, and
yeah, and so how I got a hold of people is basically because I've been around with Steve for such a long time, and I met them all. Especially like a
yeah.
good vehicle for that is the Cruise to the Edge that we're going to do now again in March.
Oh.
You meet all these people. We've done it a few times. I can't tell you if it's 5 or 6 times, but it's quite a few times now.
Hmm.
Cruise to the Edge this year will go through Key West to Bahamas, Nassau.
Oh, that must be a nice trip. I mean, to get a break on a cruise like that.
To get a
Oh, right? From that.
break away. Yeah,
And this cold. Yeah.
yeah. A bit tired of it now.
Oh, yeah. And I love the song Secret Lover. I really like the
Ah,
opening. I love that one. And Monte Carlo
priceless.
is beautiful. And then even your bonus track is really good.
Oh, Unkillable.
Yes,
That's more like a joke, but it's a fun track.
it really is. I
It's
mean,
bouncy.
I'm listening to it, and all of a sudden I come to the bonus song. It's like, wow, this is a great song. Glad you
It's it's
included it.
it's very bouncy, but it's also a little bit of a pun because the album is basically a tribute to my father who passed away almost 2 years ago. Now in July will be 2 years ago,
Huh.
and so and my mother's gone as well now. That'll be 17 years ago she passed, and I'm totally fine with that today.
Yeah.
But so I came up with this track called Unkillable. It's like, but I'm still around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
uh,
Now and I like the song "Make Somebody Proud."
oh
That
God, yeah.
that's almost like that's a real proggy type of song.
That I mean, I tend to think that the harder songs on this album, which is Secret Lover, That's Not Me, Wildfire, and Make Somebody Proud. Those four songs, they rock.
They
They're
do.
really, and they rock hard.
Yep.
And then I combine them with more lighter elements, like Monte Carlo Priceless, Flowerland that follows it. There's like a suite of two songs that sort of they work very well together. It's kind of I could continue doing just songs like that, but that's not me. That's a
Mm.
track too. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
And
and then I'm stepping out. It's a funky sort of almost burlesque kind of a
yeah.
song. I don't know if we whether seen the video for it.
No, I haven't. I got to
Oh
see
God,
that.
go to YouTube because I portray five different characters in that video.
I'm going to put that in the description for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
do
going to put it
that.
in, of course.
And then
That's
of course,
great.
yeah, yeah, and then the title track Monumentata about my father, and that's the last track of the album. It's a very emotional ballad. I think
Yeah.
a good album should always contain at least one great ballad.
I agree with that. Yeah,
You
because you
know,
can't have a total rock out the whole record.
Mm.
People have to get a little break and hear something
you
beautiful.
you need a few breathers on an album if it's going to be that intense with all that heavy rock, and that's why I
Yeah.
did throw in a bit of more melodic, nicer pieces in
I,
between the punches.
there's no time for you ever to do solo shows, right? Have you done any
No,
solo concert?
no, I would kill myself.
Yes,
Um,
probably too much, right?
these shows, I'm getting on a bit too. I'm not the youngest
Yeah.
in the industry either, but it's also it's more down to being able to get the right people to go on the road with you, and to be able to afford it all.
These days, yeah, especially to come to the States. European band. I've talked to a lot of musicians, bands. They just can't get over to the States. It's
No,
just too hard.
it's too expensive,
Yep.
too much red tape,
Yep.
too much of stuff that we don't really understand and can't really appreciate what it's for. Too much bullshit, to be honest. You know,
Exactly. I agree.
and so I'm just glad I've been able to tour the States almost every year with Steve Hackett because he's such an established artist.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
he
if you have
is.
if you have the name Steve Hackett, you've been in Genesis, which is it's a rock and roll Hall of Fame band
Yeah,
for and
iconic band.
super iconic, and
You know,
it made my life completely different when I was asked to join him that many years ago. I couldn't believe it because I was turning 53 that year.
hmm,
Uh, who would ever imagine a Swedish guy at 53 going over to London to
that's something.
do like a audition, which it really wasn't. He just wanted to check me out. There were no
Oh
auditions for any
no,
other
you were the
singer.
guy, right?
I was the guy,
How
and I
about
didn't
that?
even had no idea. I
Huh.
didn't know that. No, I thought there must have been an audition. But no, he decided on me, and that. So I thought, God, I must have done something right in my life that this happened.
Yeah. And you memorize all the songs, right? The words. You don't have a problem with because there's a lot of words in the Genesis songs and Steve Hackett's, right?
Well, you sing them. I mean, it's like a ballet dancer, really, or anyone else that you need to do something night after night. It goes into your muscle memory, really.
Hmm.
It's a certain area in your brain. So what happens is when you study a song and you haven't sung it before, you study it, I loop bits. You see, I put in my music program, I loop bits, I go back to it, and then I continue, extend the bits, and I just continue. It goes into a certain area of your brain when you study things. Without knowing it, it sort of moves over to the other side of your brain,
Uh-huh.
where the long term memory is.
Got it. Okay.
And that's how you all of a sudden you remember it all. So yeah, I have to study the songs, of course, when they're new to me. Now I've sung, I don't know, Supper's Ready a couple of hundred times
Oh,
maybe.
yeah.
Oh, we did, I grew up with the songs, let's put it like that. I mean, I became an avid Genesis fan at 50 years ago. So,
Yeah. Same here. I was in high school. In fact, I wanted to show you, I have the couple of the original records with the inside, sleeve. that you don't see much on.
I have the same albums.
Yeah, and I love them. And I spoke with Paul Whitehead. I was
Yeah.
blessed to speak with him, and he had some great stories about that. But yeah, that's great that you don't use a teleprompter. You actually remember the songs, and
I think
it's
that's the only way to go, because if you depend on the teleprompter, it will have an impact on your show. You won't be as relaxed and as confident. It's like you come constantly glancing over. Uh, no, no. I just study until I know my stuff.
Supper's Ready moves me every time. I mean, seeing you guys do it live, it was such an experience. I mean, how's that singing it? Does it do something to you like us viewing it being so moved?
There was one time last summer when we played an open door show in Italy, in a town called Vicenza. It was like a big square, and it was, I wouldn't know if there were 1,000 or 2,000, I mean, it was so many people there. I can't tell, but it was just a
Mm,
lovely moment. A lovely night, nice temperature and everything. It was in September, I think. And there was this guy, one guy, front row, just front of me. Uh, I don't know how far away, but I could still see his facial expressions, that kind
right.
of distance. But he was not immediately
Mm,
near the stage. But I saw him, and he was cheering along. He knew all the words, and of course, oh, this is a real diehard fan. It was not only him, but
mm,
I noticed him especially when we went on to do "Supper's Ready" as an encore. I think no, it was not encore. No, it was before the encore. Was that the last song? Like, okay, so thank you, we're done the lamb stuff. Now we have time to do some more stuff. That kind of a
right.
thing. And then I started the first couple of words. So, walking across the city, and and he saw that, he just fell down to his knees on the ground and crying. He just went, oh,
Wow.
he teared up completely. It's like he was so emotional, and I couldn't sing. I just saw that. It was,
Mm,
you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
I got so
that,
emotional from seeing his reaction, and
that is something.
that was one of the few times that I it has happened. I can get very emotional on stage, but it's got to be someone out there that reacts to something, or
Yeah, I
it's
would think so. Especially if you see somebody react like they do to
yeah. But
that.
you never forget that we are professionals, but we're human too.
Yes.
We can connect just like they can, and we can get very touched, and i- it's it's a different kind of I wouldn't say weird life, but it's a special kind of life to do what we do night after night.
Yes, I agree.
And I must say, every time I'm up on stage and performing these songs, it's super rewarding. It's a special feeling. It's a very confident feeling, knowing that you know your stuff, and there's no question marks. It's all being very, very well produced, and
Oh yeah.
a lot of fun on the road, a lot of characters on the road.
Oh, I'm sure. You meet a lot.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God, yes. Yeah, a lot of laughter. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
laughter.
You got to keep it that way, the only way.
We're having,
Otherwise,
yeah, well, we're having a good time. So I'm off soon.
so yeah, let's talk about that. Where you go? What's the plans for 2026 with Steve? Where you headed to?
All right. So we do, I think it's 4 or 5 shows in Florida, beginning on the 25th of February.
Okay.
I fly over on the 23rd. I fly over to Orlando, and that's where we start out. I think it's like 4 dates, could be five.
Okay.
I don't remember now. And just brief stint of the States this time again, but it's
Yeah.
strictly just Florida, because we're going on the cruise to the edge. The
Right.
the big the boat that goes
Right.
to, as I told you, through Key West and Nassau, the Bahamas, um, where we usually do 2 shows in like 5 days. So
Oh, okay.
there's not many shows. There's a lot of bands on the boat, but we have such a good time.
Yeah, I imagine.
I I just enjoy it immensely. And then it's back home again for almost 8 weeks before we go back out on the road in the mid May. I think
Okay.
the first show is May 13th in Paris, and then I guess it's Brussels, and then we do parts of Scandinavia, Germany, and the Netherlands. And then that ends on June the 1st, and then the whole summer is off for me and the
Okay.
band, because Steve is doing other bits with some acoustic stuff, so that I'm not included in. So basically nothing until October, the whole summer off, and so I'll be quite busy with my new record, and then the UK tour in the autumn, which of course then ends with the Albert Hall.
Wow, that's something. So no shows in the States besides that.
Not,
Coming
not,
up.
no, not this year. I'm sorry. No,
Oh,
no.
sorry. I wish I'd see you guys again. Whenever you come around,
I
I'm going to
think
try to see it.
there's something in the pipeline for 27. I haven't seen anything. I just think that maybe we probably are going back to the States, but I don't know. I couldn't tell if that's true or not. There's always talk, you know.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, it was one of the best Steve Hackett shows that you were in Red Bank. It was so amazing. I mean, it was such a great show.
We stayed at this really funky hotel in Red Bank, Molly Picture, I think it's called
Oh,
Molly.
yes, yes. That's a nice
Uh,
town. Red Bank's a cute little town.
Very nice. And also we went to see, I think we had a few days off there. And so we went to see um, a show quite near where Count Basie
Oh, Count Basie,
Theater.
that's where you guys played. Yes.
Yeah,
Count
but
Basie
this was
Theater.
like a different stage. And
Oh, yeah, I know what they have. Yeah, they have a
this was,
different part.
so we went to see Steve Morse band.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah, so
Man.
that was so cool and so we met him, you know, after the show, and me as a huge Deep Purple fan. I mean,
Oh, I was too.
I love all the
I
hot
love Machine
70s.
Head is one of my favorite records of all
Yeah,
time. I
but
mean, ah,
oh God, but it's not only, it's the whole package of the 70s hard rock scene, you know, with
yes.
Alice Cooper, Uriah Heep, Black Sabbath, Zeppelin, all of those. I mean, I was totally into that.
Yeah.
I even loved the glam rock as Bowie and T Rex and Mark Bolan and all of that. You know, I'm a typical kid from the 70s.
Yeah. That's the music and that music still stands up. I don't know today what I can't keep up with a lot of the modern music. I don't know, where
I'm
it's
not
headed.
I'm not really interested either. You know, because
No, I'm
I
not
think
either.
if you listen to a lot of singers these days, nothing wrong with their vocals. It's that it sounds like they're, I don't know, steeped in the same form. It's like they have the same kind of vibrato. It's
Yes.
the same sort of pain in their voices,
Yes,
and
it's screaming too. It's not, I don't know how to describe it, but I
then they
don't
have
know.
melodies that are so incredibly boring. It's like, you know, na 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 na
Yes,
na
same
na
stuff.
na na
Yep.
na 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 na
Yep.
na. It's like cramming as many notes as possible in a short space of time, and notes that doesn't say anything to you. They don't say
No,
anything to
you're
you.
right. I agree.
And 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 they have this they have this pain and the
Right.
painful vibratos, and I like vibratos, but it's got to be in the lyric that it should enhance the lyric to me. I don't know. I'm looking for a sentence or expression here. I'm not sure how to do, because I lack some of the words I need to use. You know, but in
Right.
Swedish
I
I
agree.
would be able.
It's the modern music. It's not very good. And now with AI built in with all that, I mean, it's just everything's changed as far as that kind of music. Thank God for bands like you, Steve Hackett Band, that are still producing like this great
Well,
music,
we have sort of. I think we are more appealing to, of course, the older generation
like
nowadays. You know,
myself. Yep.
but people have been listening a lot to music over many, many, many years,
Yep.
and can single out a good tune. You have the ability to single out quality,
I
uh,
agree. Yep.
and maybe you give the music some time as well to sink in. Whereas the young people is like they go mostly by one song, like a single track, and that's it. And they'll give it 2 minutes at most, and then next one, the next one.
Right, exactly. If
It's like
that.
it's candy, you know.
No, that's the cell phone, they're just swiping to the next song. It's just not like we were when we would sit down and listen to a record, a whole
Yeah.
record, sit down in a dark room, put the Lamb on, or put Gates of Delirium on from Yes,
Mhm. Yes.
that kind of stuff. I was brought up in the prog world, as a kid.
Yeah, but so much more than prog was still, it's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff that
everything
came out.
too.
It was
Bowie, everybody. You're
Elton
right.
John, Elton John,
Oh, he
huge
was
favorite.
great.
Joni Mitchell. I mean, there's so much from those days that I still adore. I couldn't really say that same thing about the 80s or 90s. I mean, 80s got some stuff that I like, but like Shaka Khan or Tina Turner and stuff. I did Prefab Sprout is a good band as well. But then from 90s on, I started losing interest. Mind you, I was only 30 years old,
Mm,
1989. But I started losing when grunge came about. It's like, oh, that sounds like shit.
yeah,
It was like an extension of punk rock.
it was. Yep.
And to me, that was not very musical and not very fantastic at all. But still, I was looking for development, musical development. Speaking for myself, I didn't want to do the same thing all over. But still, the songs have had to have some genuine qualities,
Right,
and
right.
I remember trying to. I remember even sending. I made an album called Silver Night in 2003 that I recorded myself in my own studio and I paid for everything. I sent it to David Henschel, who produced Genesis back in, Trick of
Oh
the
yeah,
Tail.
yep.
And he actually replied to me. And he hasn't replied ever since. I mean, it's like he doesn't, I don't know what happened with him, but it was kind of cute because he said, maybe your music is too musical for today's musical climate. And I was thinking, wow, what should be musical if not music?
Yeah,
I
you're
was, I
right.
was, I was just thinking that is just weird. So it should be less musical. But how come music should be less musical?
Yeah,
If
that's
there's
a weird
anything that should
statement.
be, yeah, if
That is
anything should
very
be,
strange.
if anything should be musical, is music. You can't stretch it, say that, oh,
No,
limited, But so I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm in the wrong decade now.
yeah. Well, what's your evaluation of prog rock these days? Bands coming up, are they are they sound more like heavy metal now, as a lot of them. I don't know. I'm just not in tune
Well,
to a lot of it.
Well, I think every genre needs to elaborate, get new influences from different angles, and it needs to grow so you don't get a rehash of what everything you already heard. Like you can't make another Close to the Edge album. That's been done. So
Right,
I guess, and also the younger generation, they seek other influences, but they might have the same kind of measurement that they feel that needs to have an A section, B section, D section.
yeah,
They have same kind of. You know what I'm trying to tell you now. Same kind of frame of mind
yeah.
that what music must be to them, but they don't. They're just a younger generation. Uh, for some reason, they've taken to a lot of metal music.
Okay,
Not all of them, but a lot of them have. Uh, which is fine by me. I like some metal myself, but and it doesn't have to be about goblins or
yeah,
trolls and
yeah.
stuff. But I can't really tell you any more than I don't really listen too much to modern music at all. So I'm not the perfect person to ask.
Okay,
Where are we going with this?
yeah.
I
Well,
just
you keep doing your thing. That's all you can do. And if it's just a matter of you have a big output of music, and then you would hope you have a legacy, and people hopefully find it. That's what all you can do in this day and age, I think. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Well, you've had a
Anyway,
great.
I'm just to
I
see
should
if
let you go here. Hey,
see.
thank you. I want
Let's
to.
get-
Your kitty was great. Good,
Yeah,
good, good joining in, and really nice to meet you. And hopefully, I can see you at the next time you play. Because I did come backstage for a minute to talk to Rob at Red Bank, so that was kind of fun.
I'm trying to remember that gig. I mean, the state. Oh yeah, I
It was
remember.
a rainy night. It was kind of rainy.
Oh, hang on. I had a friend from New York coming to that show, so that's why I didn't spend any time at the venue apart from the gig.
Oh, okay.
So we went out to dine, and I can't remember. I don't even remember the backstage area. Apart. Oh yeah, there were. Okay, now I remember.
It's like almost like a dungeon. You go
Yeah,
downstairs, and there was a.
yeah,
That was the first time I was back there, but I spoke to Rob last year. That was a great interview, speaking with Rob, and yeah, oh, come on backstage for a minute. So I just saw him and Jonas there. So,
yeah.
but glad you enjoyed it in Red Bank. It was you guys were polished and
Well, we hadn't been
great.
there we hadn't been there in 10 years. I remember that because we played there in 15 when Roine was in the band.
Oh, okay.
He was playing bass.
Oh, I see. Jonas is really amazing on bass, man.
Well, it's considered one of the best ever,
He is.
So
He really is. Well, Ned,
all right.
I want to thank you for your time, and we could
You're
find your music
welcome.
on Inside Out and then on the web and everywhere else on the internet. Right now, these on you can buy these records. Are they CDs? Are they vinyl also?
The latest one, definitely,
Okay,
they're both versions of it. They are digipacks, especially from Europe.
okay.
In America, there are jewel cases, but I guess you can get the vinyl from both sides of the
I'm going to try
Atlantic.
to get the vinyl of your latest
The,
because I really like it. It's really
Jo-
good.
you- oh, actually, someone asked me last night, how do I get the vinyl? Is it out yet? And I said, oh yeah, it's been out for some time now, but just Google Nad Sylvan
Okay,
Monumentata vinyl, and you'll find where to buy it.
okay, that'd be great. All
Yeah.
right. Well, that's great. Well,
Okay.
Ned, thank you for your time and good luck on the tour coming up
Thank you.
and keep up the great music. It's worth it to do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.